YouTube? Dan from D-Berg Skate here, and today I'm going to be teaching you all how to heel flip. This is one of the more basic skateboard tricks, very fundamental to several other different flip tricks and variations of the heel flip. And I would say you could try this trick and give it a go as long as you have good ollies, because the ollies are very important to this trick. Hey, what's up? Filming a YouTube video. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this because I'm gonna put this in the YouTube video. Say hi to Val. So the heel flip is very similar to what you may know as a kick flip. The only difference is, with one of the tricks, the kick flip, the board rotates in this direction as opposed to the heel flip rotates in this direction. And kind of how the mechanics work of this trick, it is an ollie with a flick that generates that flip to happen. Both of these tricks, you want to treat that front foot motion as if it's an extension of the ollie motion. And many do consider the heel flip to be harder, although a lot of people do like it more, and a lot of people do learn it before kick flips. Now, in comparison to a kick flip where you flick off this backside of the nose, the heel flip, granted its name, uses a lot less of your toes and a lot more heel. However, there are definitely a couple different ways to do this trick that I'm going to get into in a bit. And a lot of it depends on your foot setup, so let's get into that. So there's a couple different ways to do this trick, and it definitely depends on the way that you set up your feet. Personally, when I do this trick regular, and the way that I learned it, was to hang my toe off very minimally, almost not at all, and set up for this trick like an ollie. So nowadays, when I go out and I want to get a good heel flip, I put that toe in that ollie pocket, that back foot. And for my front foot, I also set it up a lot like an ollie, a little further back from the bolts, minimal toe hanging off. However, when I set up for this trick, switch or nollie, my foot setup becomes a lot different. So when I'm setting up switch or nollie with my back foot, the foot that does the popping, the ollie motion, instead of having it in the typical ollie pocket, I actually bring it a little further back, hanging that heel off a little bit more. As for my front foot, I bring it a lot closer to the bolts and hang off that toe a lot more. So the mechanics of this trick are going to greatly vary depending on how you set up that front foot. So if you're like me on regular, and you don't like to hang your toe off a ton, the flick is going to come a lot more in that pinky toe here. If you see that indent on my shoe, that's where most of my flick comes from. So when I heel flip regular, the first step, I always pop the board like a normal ollie. I slide up, and a lot of that flick comes off of this part of the shoe. When I'm doing this trick switch, because my front toe is hanging off a lot more, whereas I'm not going to get the leverage with that pinky toe, I pop down, and a lot of that flick comes right off the heel itself. It definitely initiates a little bit on the pinky toe, but for the most part, when I do this trick switch, it rolls right off the heel. And a lot of people I know do the trick that way, both regular and switch. They like to hang their toe off a ton, they like to give it a lot of heel flick. Me personally, I think the trick comes out better when you do a little more pinky toe. So getting into the trick, one of the most important parts of the trick is the first step, the pop. It is crucial to this trick that you get a good pop with that back foot. Once you pop, you slide your foot up and flick however you want to flick. Definitely play around with it, see what's more intuitive for you, whether it is flicking with the pinky toe more or the heel, and adjust your foot setup accordingly based on that. For me, I initially tried it when learning this trick to use my heel more. That didn't work out, so I moved my toe back a little bit, and that gave me a lot of success. As for a switch though, I originally learned the trick the way I do it regular now, and have since changed it because I find it easier switch to roll it right off the heel. Catching this trick in the air definitely comes a lot later. I would start off stationary, in place. Do not try this trick rolling right away. You can, but I think you're going to have a lot more difficulty doing that. Just stand on your board, make sure your weight is centered. That's very crucial. If your weight's not centered, you're not going to get a good pop and you're not going to get a good flick. So with your weight centered, pop the board with that back foot and flick, jumping straight up. That's the most important part, is that you jump straight up. Otherwise, in some situations, a lot of people, they will jump forward and the board will be behind them and they will have a hard time learning this trick. So if you are one who is jumping forward, think about the way you're jumping a lot more. Almost think about jumping backwards instead of forwards. You should be able to keep the board under you. That is one of the most important things about this trick, other than getting a good pop, is keeping the board underneath you the entire time. Now I keep saying that the pop is so important. The pop is so important. Once you do have the flick figured out and you've played around with that foot setup and you've got it down to a science, the pop becomes very, very crucial. Because say you don't get a good pop, if you don't lift that back foot up enough, you're going to rocket the trick. And a lot of the time what's going to happen is you're going to end up under rotating and catching the trick upside down. So when you're doing this trick, focus on popping as if you're going to try and pop a nice high ollie. The only difference is what you do with your front foot. Instead of just leveling out the board simply, you are flicking it as you start to level it out. I'm not sure that there's much more to this trick other than the two different ways to flick it, the difficulties you can run into by not jumping straight up and not getting a good pop. As I mentioned, definitely give this trick a shot first stationary. And if you have any difficulty, any problems you're running into, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. But I hope you found this video useful today. Hope you can go out there now and get that heel flip down. And once you have this trick all set stationary, start doing it rolling, start doing it fakie, start doing it on banks. Trust me, the more you practice this trick, the more places you can take it. Thank you again for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, please drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.